821
We are
821.
streaming live.
We are
Boom, boom,
live.
boom, boom, boom,
Welcome to
boom,
the
boom,
Pandora's
boom,
Awareness
boom.
Podcast, a place where we collect stories and circulate life-changing wisdom. I am your host, Asher, and we have Anthony and Dr. Michelle as our guests today. Now, you're here because today we get to talk about first-time experiences, and today is our Monday theme around first-time experiences. And today I have Dr. Michelle Mraz. She is a world-class author and speaker. And alongside Dr. Michelle, we have Anthony, a long-time, but he's a world-class trainer. And and he's gonna share with us, you guys gonna share with us about your stories. So I'm gonna start with Dr. Michelle. Could you please share with us a little bit of insight about yourself that the folks need to know about you?
Well, as you said, I am a world class international keynote speaker. I have a TV show out of the Philippines called Mental Shift. I've got a music album right there entitled Michelle. It's jazz songs. And then I have about 28 books, but 17 of them are bestsellers. And I'm also in sci-fi movies. So I dabble in a little bit of everything. And I can't wait to share a story or two with all of you.
Wow. Like I said, world class. Thank you so much. And Mr. Anthony, me, me and you go way back. And one thing that I normally ask myself is like, when when we was in the military was the big question kind of drive me was who would I want to be a hero to? And at that time, it was the American population, American family, because it was worth our sacrifice. Me and you served. But now I know you got out the military and you're doing something different. So now, if I ask the same question right now, who do you want to be a hero to? Or who you being a hero to right now? Who are those folks that you get up every day want to be a hero to?
Mm. Who do I want to be a hero to? I guess I would have to say my kids. I
Mm,
want them. I want to leave a legacy behind for them and make sure that when the funeral comes around, I
mm,
don't want anything and too embarrassing.
mm.
Where, but I definitely want to make sure that I think we don't place enough emphasis on parenthood, and when you do it right, your kids can become the next president, the next world leader, the next whoever. So if you do it the right way, people will remember you for the legacy. So I want to be a hero to them, and point them in the right direction.
Wow, that's great. That's great to share. And before we take this conversation further, for those that are watching, pardon my voice, I got a little bit of cold and I'm getting over it a little bit. But for those that are watching, just go ahead and hit hashtag live in the comment section if you're catching this live. And if you're catching this on replay, just go ahead and put hashtag replay in the comment section if you're catching this on replay. We just want to know that you guys are there and checking us out and tuning into what we got going on. And with that
Live,
said,
live,
live. Hashtag
re.
live and hashtag replay. Yes, yes. No, Dr. Michelle, I'm gonna start with you. I'm gonna start with you. If you don't mind sharing with us a little bit of, since our theme today is first time experiences, if you don't mind sharing with us some of those first time experiences that have really transformed your life, that the world needs to understand a little bit about that you've learned from so much.
Oh my goodness, there's just so many. I mean,
So
it's the first
many.
time I'm 55. Um, there's a first time for everything. First time I woke up today. Well, I would say the stories of the first time things that have altered me and shifted from what I was to who I am today, that mental shift was, I have a brain injury. The first time I've been fully injured in my lifetime. And that was a huge one shock to my world. Two, it readjusted everything because I lost 3 parts of my brain. I have a traumatic brain injury. And so I lost my frontal lobe over my left ear, the back of my head, my two hemispheres disconnected. And so I had to navigate the world for the first time, not fully as me. And so
Mm,
when you have a brain injury, a traumatic brain injury, and you probably know a lot of people from being in the military, I'm a military spouse
mm,
and a military brat,
mm,
that to navigate the world from a new side of the world, basically, new side of my brain. I went from being able to remember everything I ever saw and remembering things that I've read 20 years ago verbatim to I can't remember 16 seconds ago. So that was a huge shift in first times for me. I would think that would be the main one I would like to concentrate on, because after that, you know my story. I've got a lot of first timers, but I think that brain injury one is what I'd like to stick with right now.
And I'm curious then. So, when you was talking about, I was like thinking about like just like if you're a person that maybe you were always right-handed and then you lost your right hand, you gotta start learning using left hand. So how do you was able to navigate and coming back to normalcy, or if there's any normalcy or not with your own journey with that experience
Who's
itself?
normal? There is no normal. Well, I had to relearn how to talk, to walk, to hold a fork. I mean, I had to relearn it all. And what I did learn is that I'm ambidextrous, and I never knew that. And I don't know if I used to be and didn't know it, or after my brain injury, because of all the neurotherapy I went through. I actually went to, were you guys Army?
Yes, we were Army.
Yeah.
Okay. So I went through a lot of therapy at Fort Carson at the Wounded Warrior Center. And so I've regained everything and then some from a lot of therapy, a lot of counseling. And so when I went through all of that learning process, I had a 16-second memory. So I really can't tell you what it was like. I just know I didn't, and now I do.
Mm. And Anthony, from listening to Michelle's story, and what did that trigger for you to listen to her story?
Man, listen, and training people, it's interesting to see how the human body works and what it can do. And being in the military, we've seen a lot of firsts, and seen seemingly ordinary people do extraordinary things. So that's part of the reason why I became a trainer, because it was like, okay, I know that these civilians, they don't realize what they're capable of, but I've seen civilians transform and become machines, and be able to do some outstanding things. So I wanted to, and I started to think of all of the first that even you and I have had together. But really, I mean, I'm going to keep the same theme of the family thing, and nothing can trump the first time seeing my kids being born. Now, what's funny is that each one of them was a first, and I didn't realize. But every single one, I have 5 kids altogether. One from a previous marriage, and one from my 4 from my current marriage. And so I've watched each and every one of them being born, and every single one of them was different. Now, I will tell you, as a man, each time I felt that I was really involved in the birthing process. And each time I realized I was not as involved as I could have been. So this last my baby, he's 1, so that's a first, right? But this was the first time I actually had to actively like catch my baby on the way out, and there was no doctors.
Wow.
Yeah. So you don't realize, as a man, you don't realize how separated you are from the birthing process until you go through something like that. We had him in the hotel. And the what was crazy was we had been trying to have the baby the whole night. And we kind of just gave up. And I was, when the babies come in, I was spending all kind of money, trying to take care of I'm like, oh, buy lunch for the nurses, let's do it. And then the baby didn't come. So you start thinking, wait, we're gonna have to do this again tomorrow. And I'm like, yo, my wife was looking at me, and we're like, man, we just spent a bunch of money, and the baby's not here. So she was like, we're gonna really go into the hotel. I said, babe, you haven't been comfortable the whole pregnancy. Let's go to the hotel, and let's pick a good one, because I want you to be comfortable. So she said, okay, we picked this nice hotel. And then all of a sudden she starts having contractions in the middle of the night. And I'm thinking I'm being the awesome husband. I'm like, no, just rubbing. I'm like, it's okay, babe. It's okay. You got it. And she's like, no, 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 no. I think this is it. And I'm like, yeah, no, no, no. Sudden, she was like standing up, doubled up over. And she's like, my water's breaking. And then she's looking at me, and I'm looking at her. She was like, my water's breaking? And now she's asking the question. She's like, my water's breaking. My water breaking. And I'm like, oh no. And what's crazy is usually I spring into action, but I just froze. And she looked at me and at her, and I'm thinking, this is gonna cost a lot of money. You're messing up because that was the last thing on our mind was, we don't want to spend any more money if the baby don't come. So I'm like, oh no, her water breaking on the hotel floor, So she disappears into the bathroom, and I remember she had the midwife on the phone, and the midwife was just like, hey, where is your husband? And for the first time out of all of these births, I felt so inept. Now, as a trainer for each one of the other births, I was in the hospital. I'm like, breathe. I'm holding the leg back. And I was to the point where the last pregnancy, the nurses actually took a back seat and they were like, just let me do everything. And I was like, where were you guys? And they were like, you were doing such a good job that we didn't even have to do anything. Now, this time, I was totally lost. And I'm looking and I'm like, and the midwife was like, where's your husband? Where's your husband? And I was like, I'm here. No, so this take charge kind of guy, just look at the juxtaposition from being take charge and I know what's going on. This is my fifth baby. I got this to like, I don't got this because we're in a hotel and it's just her. And the midwife is on the phone. So I'm like, oh no. And my wife, I don't know why, she just went to the bathroom. And it was funny. She was on her hands and knees and she was looking at me and she goes, I'm so sorry. Because I don't know if people realize this. I'm not sure the age of your viewers, but pregnancy is messy. I mean, giving birth is messy. So if you don't know, now you know. Stuff is coming out of your body that you have no control over. All of the things that you don't normally want people to see, it's all coming out. And your significant other had better really, really, really love you. Okay? So so all of this stuff is coming out of my wife and she's looking at me and she's just like crying. And I'm thinking that I let her down and all she's thinking about how embarrassed she is. Between the pain and everything, she was like, baby, I'm so sorry. You have to see me like this. And I was like, what? I said, babe, I said, I got to tell you, babe. I said, this happens every time. She was like, really? I said, yeah. She was like, and you just sit there, you don't say anything. I said, what am I gonna say? You're giving birth to a human being. What am I gonna say? So from that little conversation, it must have lasted like a couple of seconds. Finally, I snapped to it because I'm like, I gotta make my wife feel better about her situation. So I take the trash bag out of the little trash can, put it under some water, and I just dump it on her. I'm trying to get the stuff out of the way, so that she starts feeling better about her surroundings. So I'm just washing her down, just throwing buckets of water on her. And from there, she's looking at me. And when I dumped it the first time, I didn't even know if I did the right thing. I was like, swoosh. And she looked at me and I looked at her like, I don't know if that was the right thing. And she goes, more. And she said, more of that. I said, really? She said, yes, more. I was like, man, Michelle was like, I'm back in the game, So I'm filling up water, throwing it on her. She's like, oh, and I'm like, breathe. And I'm throwing water on her and I'm stalling until the midwife can get there. The midwife gets there. I'm telling you, Asher, when I see the midwife, the way she acted made me want to be a midwife. She was like, okay, do this, bah. Okay, we got to do this. We got to do that. And I'm just like, yes, ma'am, like and then I went downstairs to go get some towels. So I run downstairs to get towels. I come back. No, when I get down there, the guy is like, what's going on? I'm like, I need towels. He's like, how many? I said, all of them. He's like, you need all the towels? I said, my wife is having a baby. He said, what? Here? I said, yes. He said, then he goes back there and he's like, I said, fine, just give me 12. So I grab 12 and I get up there. And this is the pivotal thing, because I know we got to take a break from this and then I can finish the story. But the pivotal thing, when I got back up to the towels, the midwife says to me, she says, where did you go? And I was like, I went to go get towels because it's a mess. She said, no. She said, you, husband, never leave. you never leave during this situation. I can't tell you how transformative that was for me, because in each of the other births, I felt there was periods there where I really dropped the ball, and I left. I checked out in some way, shape, or form. A, because of the culture. B, because of ignorance, and a plethora of reasons. But I remember thinking, and society kind of leads you to think this way, that the husband is not an integral part of the birthing process. And when she said that, I was like, holy smokes, I need to be here for my wife. And I never had that feeling before.
Wow.
Okay.
Michelle, I
Good.
saw you having a whole balance, a lot of animation over there. I would love to hear your thoughts on that story and tie it into your journey itself, as far as, losing a lot of your cognitive stuff and building back up, and then seeing how Anthony kind of plays role in his part
Forget
of it.
that story. I want to go into
But
the baby world.
you want to go into
Okay.
the baby? Yes, go
Well,
into
because
baby.
I had both of my children in the Netherlands. And yes, never leave, because honestly think God makes our bellies go so big so we can't see what happens down there.
It's true.
Because I remember coming out of having our baby 12 hours after delivery. They kicked me out of the hospital, and we were driving home, and I told my husband, well, I feel great except for right here. And it was like on my knee. It was like that was the only pain I had. He has, really? I said, yeah. How did the baby come out of me? I mean, because I only had pain in my knee. That's where they gave you a shot to numb, because you were saying it hurts so much. I'm like,
Wow.
oh my gosh, we are such machines that
Mm,
in that moment of giving birth, all I wanted was my husband. And I
wow.
needed to hold him. And as long as he was standing next to me, as long as he was holding me, I knew I would make it through. But if
Wow.
he had walked away, I would have.
Yeah.
Wow. Mm.
But no, that's a huge first to be talking about. I mean, people don't realize what an epic moment that is. And every first is with the child. Everything they do is so amazing. And that's why I speak and do the things I do, because every first should be that. You should
Yeah.
relish in those firsts, because they will never happen again.
Mm,
Yeah, I love
Wow.
that story. Thank you for sharing that.
Wrap that up, Anthony. Go back in it, man.
all right. All right.
Dr. Michelle want to talk some more about that baby stuff.
So it's not.
No, it's just
not
because we don't realize what an epic moment that is. I mean, so many people have their babies and they have the epidural, and they don't, a lot of women I know don't remember. They didn't feel it. They don't remember it. I was in the Netherlands. They don't believe in epidurals. So it's
wow.
all natural.
Wow.
Everything's natural. And I remember going to the hospital and passing all those coffee bars in Amsterdam and everything. And I remember telling my husband, I think I was dilated to 6 or 7, and I grabbed him by his sweatshirt and I pulled him close and I said, get me something. And he said,
Yes.
he
Yes.
looked at the nurse and they said, no, all natural. You're too far along. And so I grabbed him again. I do, go to the coffee shop, get me something. But by the second baby, I forgot it ever hurt.
Wow.
I forgot.
Yes.
And so when the second baby came, it was a first. Everything was different. And just
Yeah.
like with you, my babies fell out of me before the doctors came into the room. So
Wow.
my husband was there for the is anyone gonna help?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
I had him by the neck. I had him by the neck. No, you got to relish in those first. I mean,
Yeah,
and
yes.
like you said, every birth was different, and every birth is a new learning experience. And the big thing is you take all those learning experiences and you apply them to whatever new thing you're going to do. Even watching your wife give birth, you can take the lessons you've learned from that, because that is a crisis situation,
It is. It
and
is.
apply it to things that you do, whatever you do. Like
Yeah.
in working out, when people do, oh, I'm done, I cannot lift anymore. A woman says the same thing right before the baby pops out. Right
Mm-hmm.
before the baby comes out, she says, I'm done, put it back. I don't want to do this anymore. And then boom, the baby comes out.
Yes.
It happens in all success stories. Right when you think the pain is so much, you cannot take it anymore, you're going to die.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
when success happens.
Yeah. So I
Wow.
get back up into the room, and she tells me never leave. So I'm like, okay, I'm back in the game. So remember that I finally I froze for a little while because I didn't know what to do. So I was like, all right, we got our thing. I went back to the bucket of water and I threw it on my wife. And then the midwife got caught in the she got caught and she was in the crossfire. So she gets splashed and she looks and she's like, what? And I'm looking at her, I'm like, oh, huh?
I said you was muting. I don't know. I couldn't hear it.
Yeah, so I was oh
You was acting out the voice.
Yeah,
It's a big voice.
It's a what? So I said, listen, I said, we had a thing. This is the thing. We had a thing. And she goes, okay. She was like, you like this? My wife was like, yes, I need the water. So the shower is now hitting my wife as well.
Good.
And then she looks at my wife and she goes, we have to turn the water off to save the baby, to make sure that the baby comes out and can breathe. And my wife goes, no, you're not turning off the water. And the midwife goes, okay, we're not turning off the water. And then she looks at me and she says, we have to cut off the water. And I'm like, okay. She was like, but that's fine. We'll do it whenever. She was like, as soon as that baby's ready to come out, I need you to catch the baby. And I cut off the water and you were in this. You understand what I'm telling you? I said, yes. So anyway, I mean, we're going through, and I mean, it happened so quickly and so slow at the same time, right? And I'm just like, all right, here it comes. And she's like, we got ahead. Next thing you know, I'm like, push, and the baby's out. And I have the baby. I have never caught the baby. And normally for the like the newborn stage, for me as a dad, I'm present, but I'm not present. And again, I didn't realize this until this particular moment where I catch the baby and then she's like, okay, the water's cut off and we get the baby to start breathing and it's crying. And my wife is on her hands and knees in the shower of the hotel and we're just there. And the midwife was like, okay, we got to get the baby up. So it's never done. Like the moment we have a time to like a reprieve, then there's another mission that comes along. It's like, we got to get her up now. And I'm like, my wife has probably been on her hands and knees for about an hour. And the muscles, if you understand how the human body is, especially under duress like that, she has no more strength. So I'm like, how is she gonna get up? I have the baby, so I want to give the baby to the midwife. The midwife was like, no, you have the baby. I'm gonna get your wife. And I'm like, the midwife is about 4'2" or something, really small. And I'm like, there's no way she's gonna get my pregnant wife up, And she figures out how to do it, and we're just inching over to the bed. And I have the baby in the umbilical cord, and we're walking over to this hospital bed. And I couldn't believe how quickly, like the midwife, so she calls in for backup and they come in like a team of special forces and clean up the hotel, like nothing ever happened. I cut the umbilical cord and they're saying they're doing all of this stuff. And they were like, this is the cleanest birth ever. All I could see was just blood and horror everywhere. And they're like, this is the cleanest birth ever. You guys did so great. And then they start briefing me. And as a military guy, I start to realize what's happening. They're briefing me to take control of the situation. Here's another first. I have never had this happen to where it's just me, my wife. Sorry, you guys still there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've never had this situation where it's just me, my wife, and the baby. So these guys come in and they're like my heroes, right? And I'm like, man, they come in, they clean everything up, they make sure everything is straight, and then they're like, this is what to expect. The baby is gonna be is tired from the birthing process. He's gonna sleep for like 10 to 14 hours. They were like, you and mom, you sleep. You understand? And then they're like, you're gonna wait for this to happen. Melissa has to use the bathroom. As soon as she uses the bathroom, this is what's gonna happen. This is what's gonna happen. And then after that, you're gonna do XYZ. And I'm just looking, and I'm like, wait, you're leaving? And they're like, yeah, we're leaving. And I'm like, no, you can't leave. who's going to take care of my wife? You know, the hospital, you don't realize they are doing everything. They're actually doing the role that the husband is supposed to do. And I didn't even realize. So they clean up and make sure everything's stable. They're like, you're good. And they left. And I'm just like, oh no. It's just me, my wife, and this baby. And the next 14 hours was like the most beautiful hours. I mean, I don't even know what I did. I just, you know, my wife needed something. I'm like, here, you have this. And I'm taking care of that's what I was doing. I was like a nurse. If she needs something to drink, hey, you got something to drink. You needed it. And believe me, Asher, we think we're sensitive guys and, you know, we're good guys and all of this, but nothing can prepare you for that type of situation except being in the situation. And all I could think of was all the other times where I was like, wow, I was really a jerk for those other pregnancies. Because the hospital had done so much that by the time when my wife got home, I thought she was okay. Like I knew she wasn't okay, you know what I mean? But I didn't give her the exact tender love and care that was really required because I had been so removed from the situation. Now, because I could see it, I helped her to the bed. I had to help wipe. My wife had to wear Depends. And I had to help change the Depends. This is on a whole nother level.
She gave birth to a human.
Yeah, you don't think of this when you're going on a first date with someone or you see someone from across the room. Oh man, she looked good and all of this kind of thing. You're not thinking about changing this person's diaper. Okay? And I love my wife, but I'm not thinking about her in these ways when we were together. Now I'm doing it. And I'm doing things that normally, like if I were to see somebody else do it, a gag or some kind of weird, I had no response. It was just like, let me take care of my wife and take care of my baby. Because you see the hard work of pushing another human being out. You're front and center. Like you've never been front and center before. You're not thinking about, oh, that's nasty. You're thinking about, wow, this is an amazing human being that did this for me. Really. I gave her the seed and she produced and created, and now a whole nother human being came out. And she did it because she loves me. The least I can do is change the Depends, change the sheets, help her. You need some water? No problem, no problem, no problem. What's crazy is the way that God worked it out. I went down to the front desk and he was like, hey, you guys can have extra time on the house because of the baby. I was like, really? Wow. And my wife was knocked out. The baby was knocked out. I'm like, I didn't know what else to do. I even got a workout in. I did a little workout. I went back upstairs to make sure everything was okay. They were knocked out. I'm like, wow. And all I could do was just watch them. And anytime she needed to use the bathroom, help her or whatever, it was just an amazing experience. And I had no clue that I was not, as much as I felt that I was there, I didn't know that I wasn't there for the other births, not in this way, So then I had to get her home. And I just remember now even in this pregnancy, as I felt like I'm doing the most, I still failed my wife. And my wife doesn't see it as a failure because we both didn't know. But
yeah, it's a learning process.
It's a learning process. And she had just had the baby. In the hospital, you usually stay in the hospital for a couple of days. But she was doing so well the next day, no drugs, no anything, that I just got them home and we were at the house. Well, while we were at the house, we had friends that wanted to come over. So every Saturday we go to church and normally we have people come over, like family, friends and stuff. And we're in rural Virginia. So the more like whatever friends you have are really, really impactful, but they wanted to come over. And I'm like, okay, yeah, come over and see the baby and da-da-da-da. This was like almost like the next day, I want to say. It was either the next day or 2 days later. My wife are not fully, but my wife is like, she's a hard charger, she's a worker. Like most women are. I know you can attest to this, Michelle, being as successful as you are. Because my wife has an album too. So it's a certain type of person that sings and performs and has an album. She's a teacher. Like, she's a go-getter. You know what I mean? So to her, there's nothing is ever a problem. I'm more easygoing. I'm more relaxed. Like, no, 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 no. So we have friends over, and it put a lot of strain on my wife's body, unbeknownst to each of us. And I mean, all we were doing was saying, hey, hi, you know, da-da-da, and this is the baby. And they ended up even staying the weekend with a trailer and stuff. And I mean, these are, like I said, they're good friends, very low maintenance. But when the midwife found out about it, I mean, she let us have it. She was like, you know that there's an incision in your wife, like there's an opening this big, and da da da, and she lost blood, and da da da, and you cannot do that. And I was just like, again, my eyes got big because I'm like, the husband is the protector. So I should have said, no, 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 another time.
Okay.
Well, you were talking about how you cared for your wife and, you know, changing depends and things like that. And it made me realize that I need to go thank my husband. Remember, I said I have a brain injury. Okay. When I got hit by that car, I did not walk or talk for over 2 years. He bathed me,
Wow.
he fed me, he washed me, he did everything. I could not walk. He would carry me to the bathroom, he'd carry me into the shower, he'd stand in the shower me with
Wow.
him in there with me. I mean, just think of the amount. I was a gigantic baby. I need to go
Wow.
thank him for taking
Yes.
care of me to the extent he took care of me. I mean, I didn't have depends, but I should have probably, because I didn't
Yeah.
know what I was doing. I don't remember any of it. So just think
Wow.
of that. A grown woman. Not only was he there for the births, but he took care of me as a child at 40 something years old. Wow.
Yes. Yes.
That's a first for me. I just realized my husband is freaking amazing.
Mm.
I knew he was good, but wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Because
You know,
things,
it's it's interesting when he was tying that bit together, and I often think about, you know, the stuff that we fear, which oftentimes in the future, but sometimes our confidence comes from the successful thing that we've done in the past, that we can take that same energy towards that new thing that we're gonna do in the future. And Anton, you mentioned earlier about that your wife sings, so forth and so on. I know Michelle, you do some singing too, Michelle, don't you?
I have an album. I have a jazz album.
You
I'll be
you have a
singing
jazz
at Jazz
album?
Fest in Colorado on Saturday, April 6th.
Oh, well, let's switch conversation to you guys both. Michelle, unique ability in singing, and Anthony, your wife, in her journey of being a musician. So you write and you sing, Michelle. Tell us about that journey.
The journey. Well, remember, brain injury, didn't walk or talk. And so when
Mm-hmm.
I started moving, my husband said, actually just recently, he said, when you couldn't talk, he said, if I wanted a glass of water, I would say, cylinder, liquid. He said, I would try to describe it. And he would do, a glass? You want a glass of water?
Mm-hmm.
He said, it would take me forever to get that word out, whatever word I was trying to say. But he said, when you would sing, you could say it. So I couldn't speak, but I would say, I could sing, I'd like a glass of water, please.
wow.
I couldn't speak. And so as I was developing as a speaker and going around the world and I'm speaking on stage, whenever I would forget what I wanted to say, I would sing and the words would come out instead. And one day he says, you know, why don't you ever make an album? I didn't, nope, not good enough. I'm a karaoke singer. I'm not going to do that. Well, I'm prepping for one of my speaker boot camps. I train speakers for big stages like TEDx and beyond. And I'm on the stage and I'm testing mic 1, 2, 3, testing mic 1, 2, 3. And I'm playing, saying 1, 2, 3 on stage. And this man walks by and he says, hey, you a singer? And I said, no, I'm a karaoke singer. And then my tech guy, my partner, Brian Swanson says, she's always singing. Every chance she gets, she belts out. And the guy's like, I know, I can hear it in your voice. You're a singer. Come see me in my studio. And I blew him off. I'm like, yeah, right. Like I'm going to go to someone's studio. Well, about a week or two later, he comes back through and I'm doing my boot camp at this time. And he says, why haven't you come to my studio? And I said, I don't even know who you are. He goes, you happen to know a little band called the Commodores? And I said, who doesn't know the little band called the Commodores? And he said, I'm the keyboardist for the Commodores. I want you in my studio. Sir, yes, sir. I mean, I ended up in his studio and we put some songs together, and I realized that I am not just a singer. I am a singer. So with all the pain and the anguish, the things I've gone through, I emote emotion through my music. It's how I was communicating when I couldn't speak. It's what God wants me to do. He wants me to use my voice to reach people. So I made this album, a mini album, this one, teeny tiny album. I only have 3 songs on it, but I put 3 songs on it that were my journey. So the first song is Both Sides Now by Joni Mitchell, and I jazzed it up. Do you know that song? I see the clouds from both sides now. You know that one? Look it up, or get my album. And then the second song is, I did that song, Both Sides Now, because I used to write political speeches. I was in a different world. And when I got hit in the head and didn't walk or talk, I lost my ability to remember facts and details. And so I had to reinvent myself. Well, my reinvention was sharing my story of resilience through my brain injury and relearning everything. And if I can do it with partial brain, whatever you want to do, you can do too. So
Wow.
I see the world from both sides now. It's not just the bad things happen in my life. Oh my goodness, oh woe is me. It's, oh, the clouds are in my way. Yeah, they're only raining and snowing on people. They're going to pass. Keep going. So I put that song on. And then the second song is Summertime. And Summertime is from Porgy and Bess. Summertime and the living is easy. And I put that one in. I put that one in. Well, because growing up, I used to let the world define me. So in that song is, your daddy's rich and your mama's good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. And I put that song in because I wanted the message that it's what's happening in your perception. It doesn't matter what other people are telling you should be doing. What's inside? Summertime is my awakening to who I am. And then the last one is Don't Get Around Much Anymore by, I did a version like a Natalie Cole, Nat King Cole. Miss the Saturday dance, heard they crowded the floor, couldn't be there without you, don't get around much anymore. And I sang that one because when I went through my brain injury and then subsequently my breast cancer, people would say, you're changed, you're different. Why are you like that? You don't do what you used to do. And I wanted that song in there because that song expresses, I've grown, I've shifted, and I don't look at the world the way I used to look. I'm a happy-go-lucky woman because of the pain I made it through. So I made that album almost as a singing speech, inspirational speech. And so that journey into music has evolved very quickly because I've always known I could sing. I always considered myself a bit of a Disney princess, you know. I can sing Disney left and right. But when Thomas Dawson Jr. of the Commodores put me in his studio and put that headset on me, I went from singing like, you know, karaoke where I was singing every word to I started scatting, and I didn't even know I could scat, you know? And that is where I realized I'm more than a speaker. I emote emotion through my voice. And if music is my next avenue, then let it be. So Thomas called me and said, what are you doing April 6th? I want you to come sing with my band at Jazz Fest. And that little voice in my head, you know, we all have that little voice that says, are you good enough? My little voice was, wait a minute, are you good enough to do that? And then the other voice said, Thomas Dawson Jr. of the Commodores wants you to sing in front of his seasoned band. If he believes in you, you better believe in you. And then, of course, my business partner, Brian Swanson, he's like, really? You speak in front of millions of people, and you're going to be afraid of singing, 16 songs in front of a group of people who love jazz. Just go be you. And this is where the evolution of music has come through. As Anthony says, I'm like your wife. We are strong. We are bullheaded. We know what we want, and we go. But we still have little voices in our head that do. Are you? The power in success and reaching goals and reaching whatever you want is doing it afraid. I'm about to sing in front of a group of people who have made jazz their life. I have only been in this since what? I launched my album October 17th, my birthday. I am an amoeba in the world of jazz. And I'm going to be singing in front of people who have made it their life. And I can't wait to make it my life too. So I am an entertaining, inspirational speaker. I will still speak. I will still do that around the world. But rest assured, I will be singing in everything I do.
Nice.
Wow, we got to clap to that one right there. Wow, that's amazing, Michelle. That's amazing. And it's it's that it sounds like you've been living so many different lives that your time here on planet Earth has really, really brought you so much great experiences that can't complain about anything, right? Can't complain about anything.
No,
And
lots of
wrapping
firsts
up
going on right now.
wrapping up and swinging back to Anthony's side, because Anthony, you've been talking about your wife, but you've been talking about her in the birth side of it, but I know she sings, and you can kind of tie it into Michelle's journey as far as your wife's story. So talk about your wife a little bit on her singing gift.
Yes, yes. My wife has been singing since she was really, really little. And that's actually how I met her. It was in church singing. And the way she sang, much like Christina Aguilera and those people, their voice don't match the body. So you see the voice come out and you're looking. So when I was little, I think I was about, hold on, this is I think I was about 12. And I remember hearing her sing, and my mom was there. And I was just like, this lady, she had to be 25 years old, because it don't make any sense somebody my age singing this way, you know? And my mom goes, well, I think that's, no, can't be. So then my adolescent ears start poking, sticking out, because I'm like, wait, mommy knows who this is, you know? So she's like, well, no. And I'm like, but my mom is not giving me any information, you know? So I'm looking, I'm like, who is she? You know? But at the same time, I'm at church. So I'm not there because you're not supposed to be liking anybody at church, you know? So you're like, okay. So anyway, a long story short, we start getting to re-know each other. We didn't even realize we were babies together. And we reconnected. So my mom actually knew her mom, and we were babies together. And then I left the church and came back, and it's just been amazing to watch her sing. And in Connecticut, there's a little like a poetry spot called a Russell. A lot of people go there to do poetry slams, and they'll be snapping and doing all of the spoken word. And my wife would always go there and do gospel songs. So it was kind of like this genre juxtaposition. And she would always be like, I don't know, I'm not comfortable doing the worldly stuff. And I'm like, just do you. Like Michelle said, just be who you are. And she would go and sing a gospel song and tear down the house. People tearing up. And they actually told her to stop coming, because nobody would actually go after her. After she would sing that, they're like, I got to go back to church, you know? So the owner of the Russell was like, if you come back, don't sing any more gospel, or don't come back. So after a while, my wife, she stopped going to the Russell, and she did America's Got Talent and all of those things. And even from there, she realized that God didn't want her in that circle, because she said the first time she went and she sang, and she knows she did all right, but they said, oh, the talent is full this year. And she said, okay. And she was like, huh, that's weird. But she kind of went with all that attitude, like, I got this. So she said the next time she was like, okay. She went back and she really tore it down. She said all the judges from the other booths came to hear her. And then they were like, everybody stopped what they were doing and was like, wow, this is amazing. And they still told her, this isn't, this season is
Not her
filled.
place.
And she was just like, huh, okay, God doesn't want me in this arena. So she started singing and she made an album. And I think she has about it's about 12 songs on the album. And one of them was on a Christian radio station in Connecticut, which was really good. But I remember when I started to open up the gym, she wanted to put the album on the back burner. She was like, I gotta help you. And honestly, and I did an interview for the Christian radio station where I said this, and it was like, I really, really needed the help. And I know that my wife's attention to detail would have just took the gym to the next level, but I didn't want her to put her singing on the back burner. So I said, no. I grew up with a single mom. And I know I know the complaints. I did everything for the kids. I did everything. And I didn't have any time for myself. And I was like, no, you're going to do the music. I'm going to do the gym. And whichever thing takes off, that's what we're going to put everything behind. And she said, okay. So she did the album, and it did really well. And we were starting to tour, but we were getting into a lot of church groups where we just weren't really comfortable with a lot of like slaying in the spirit and shaking and all of the. My wife wasn't really comfortable with that stuff, so we we put it on we put it on the back burner. And right now she has a project that the Lord gave her. Where have you seen a church hymnal? The average church hymnal has about 500, 600 songs in it. But if you talk to the average church person, I mean, the person that really goes to church and love church, they still only know about 20, 30, 40 hymns out of the hundreds of hymns that are in there. So the Lord had placed it on my wife's heart to sing every single song in the Seventh-day Adventist hymnal. Right now on YouTube, if you look up Melissa Oratade and hymns, you will see about 400 songs all uploaded on YouTube for absolutely free.
How do you spell her last name? How do you spell the last
Oh,
name?
Oretade, Oratade. And it's just amazing. So my wife doesn't let me sing with her. She might let you, Michelle. She'll let you sing with her, but she every once in a while. So I put up on the YouTube. I'm like, Amazing Grace. See, I got a little something in the tank, but I'm not like Michelle. So my wife doesn't
I think
know.
my big debut is I was singing Christmas songs at Christmas. I did the 12 days of Christmas. I did a different song every day for 12 days just to see if I could do it without, kind of freaking out.
Nice. So it's amazing now to see, how far those gifts have taken her, and to see where she's gonna go. She put it on a hiatus, but you can't. You have to be true to yourself, and once you start to do, I feel like she dibble dabble. She ran a school, and then she's a tutor, and then she was doing all these other things, and she has a master's in education. She has a bachelor's in bio something science, like all of these things. And I'm like, she's super smart, and she's done all of these things only to come full circle. And I'm not as smart as her, but I know what I know, and I'm like, you should sing. But sometimes you have to do all of these things to realize what you aren't, and to realize what it is that you're meant for. Birds are meant to fly. Fish are made to swim. And human beings were created to be awesome, wonderful progenitors of God's love. And he gives us each talents to do that and to declare his glory. And it's an awesome thing when you can realize what your purpose is and to fill out that purpose. That is the first that trumps all other firsts.
Yes.
Wow. Well, we're going to wrap up on that note. So, Michelle, I'm gonna throw this on you real quick because you have so many gifts, and based on what Anthony just shared about his wife a little bit, any big takeaway that you want to wrap up with that folks need to go in and digest for you from your foresight?
From my foresight. Well, I'm just laughing because I really want to meet his wife. Because I got my doctorate. I got my doctorate before I realized I actually sing. Okay, so I'm like climbing this ladder doing, what are all the things that are together? Oh, my voice. It was my voice. It's not speaking. It's not this. It's the voice. It's the resonance. And I'm like, I went and got a doctor for no reason. But anyways, I would say I like to say Maya Angelou's quote, but I also have another quote. I can't get it in my head right now, but I'll do the Maya Angelou quote. Because for those of you out there watching right now and you're listening to, you're listening to us tell our first story, our first and our experiences and the passion and the emotion of it all. It really comes down to what Maya Angelou says. She says, and it's my motto. My mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style. And so when you're out there and you're watching podcasts, you're listening to other people share their first and sharing their experience about reaching what they really love to do, you've got to feed your soul. We're each given a gift. It's our only job is to find what that gift is. It could be being the best daddy in the room and in the delivery room ever. It could be the best mom. It could be the best sweeper of floors. It could be whatever it is. But our mission in life is to enjoy whatever we do. So go find what you love. Love what you do, and you will shine in the glory that you are meant to shine in.
Amen.
Amen. Wow. You know, I'm gonna leave with this one quote from I think Gary Berker is the guy that said it. Let me not butcher it, but it goes something like this. So the best way to shrink your problem is to grow your purpose. And we're talking about purpose just now. A lot of it, we're talking about purpose in our first time experiences because when you think about life, oftentimes your purpose is gonna follow you on like a tail. Like it's gonna follow you on like a perfume. No matter how fast you run or how far you go, you're gonna still smell like it because what? The universe, God, source universe, put it with you, and you're gonna take it with you until you figure out, oh my God, this is the thing I've been running from my whole life, but it's been following me around. So singing me following you around, Dr. Michelle, and singing me following your wife around, Oritade, and being an awesome dad, been following you around. You got 5 kids, 5 kids, right?
Yes, 5.
5 kids. So definitely you were here to create tribes, brother. So keep creating that tribe and keep walking and laughing with that pride on your face because you got a big smile. I love your laugh like a lion laugh, like ah. But yeah, I appreciate you guys coming on today and sharing your story, sharing your journey, sharing some of your first time experiences. It means a lot to the folks that are listening and watching because here at Pandora's Awareness Podcast, where we collect stories and circulate life-changing wisdom, we're here to kind of like find people that are ordinary stories that are doing extraordinary things because people look for people like you because we see ourselves in other people in their journey. So before we close out, any last word from you, Dr. Michelle, and the lion from Zion, Aritadi? We'll start with you, Aritadi. Any last word if you got it?
The last thing I would say is like Michelle said, look for your purpose, and always start off with seeking truth. As you seek truth, truth will actually reveal itself to you, and you can't go wrong when you look for truth.
And any last word, Michelle, before we close?
I want to do a last song.
Oh,
Just a little
yes.
bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Well, because when people talk about what they're doing, they think about, oh, it's a terrible, hard climb. And what goes in my mind is, I'll build a stairway to paradise with a new step every day. I'm gonna get there at any price. Stand aside, I'm on my way. I've got the blues, and up above it's so fair. Shoes, go on and carry me there. I'll build a stairway to paradise with a new step every day. That's what you do. Build it. Make it happen.
Wow.
Yes. Yes. She got me
And that's
here.
a wrap. That's a wrap. That's a wrap. I love it. All right, that's it, folks.